What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
For a long time, I have said that gene clinics are useless, pointless, and worthless. Today, I'm going to take a few moments of your time to reevaluate that position, and I'm going to provide you with some scenarios that I think make gene clinics both useful and actually probably a preferential option to other buildings that you could build. Now, I know this goes against the grain for many of us, so please bear with me while I lay out this, I'm gonna say it, bold new position.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
You probably are going to disagree with me. If you do, please let me know in the comment section below. I really would value your feedback and input on this. Maybe I am just going mad over here. And if you enjoy this video, please grow that like button. Here we have a colony, one of my first colonies, and I'm going to use this to outline the general kind of theory and idea as to why gene clinics are bad and why traditionally we don't build them. So here I have a planet. It has 2 generator districts on. If I look at my population, I've got a couple of colonists and 4 technicians. Now, there are some building slots available to me. I've actually got quite a few, and that is because in this run I have functional architecture, which will give me 2 extra building slots, though you may only see 1 here. So if I were to build a gene clinic in this building slot, which I will do, that is going to give me 2 medical worker jobs. Now, those jobs have an upkeep, which is 2 consumer goods. They produce 10 amenities and some bonuses. They give me a 5% habitability bonus and a 10% pop growth bonus. But they've taken away 2 workers that would otherwise have been working technician jobs, or alternatively, instead of building this gene clinic, I could have built an alloy foundry. Now this alloy foundry instead, it's going to be producing roughly 6 alloys rather than the energy I was getting. Yes, I will not be getting the pop growth bonuses, but instead I can use those 2 pops to make alloys today when I need them. So the general idea is that these medical workers are taking away from a job they could otherwise be doing, which is something like an alloy producing job or even as simple as a technician. Now, if you look at the pop growth they are adding, they add a 10% to pop growth, though actually there is also a hidden bonus, so to speak, and that is that the habitability will impact your pop growth speed, in addition to pop upkeep, resources output from jobs, and pop amenities usage. So these 2 medical workers, they're going to be adding 5% habitability and 10% pop growth speed, as well as 10% organic pop assembly speed, but that's not going to be so useful immediately. That's going to be something we have later on if we ever get clone vats, or we have, let's say, a species with budding. That could be useful then. But right now, let's focus on the main things that people are looking for here, which is the pop growth, habitability, and amenities. Now, it would take us at this extra 10% plus the 2.5 from the increase in habitability, that is 12.5% extra pop growth. That means that this extra pop growth, which will be 0.375 additional pop growth, it's going to take 293 months at this current population size for our empire, needing 110 growth points to progress. It will take 293 months or 24.44 years before we produce an additional pop due to this pop growth bonus, meaning that, and this is the traditional maths that people have done to show that these gene clinics are worthless, meaning that it will take you 50 years before you see a benefit or a bonus from this additional medical worker, because it's going to take you that long before you will, so to speak, break even and then be producing new pops to work other jobs which have kind of not been lost because we've lost 2 pops to these medical workers. That is the traditional logic. That is why people say that medical workers are not good. They say that gene clinics are bad due to this kind of idea that there is a time to payoff. But what if, instead of attempting to build a gene clinic just for the sake of pop growth, we replaced a different building with a gene clinic? Because there's something important to note here. Medical workers also produce 5 amenities, and amenities are necessary to keep your population happy in order to boost the stability of your planet. Once you start getting negative amenities, you tend to find that citizen pop happiness will fall due to those negative amenities much more rapidly or to a greater effect than the same number of positive amenities. So being in the negative is very bad. So instead, I have the same planet here. This is Capella Prime. We've now got 22 people or 22 pops living here. We have a whole host of generator districts. We have some research labs and alloy foundry. Generally speaking, this world has been relatively successful in producing resources, research for us, that sort of thing. We've also upgraded the capital to a planetary administration. We've resisted trying to sort out the amenities issue by distributing luxuries by using this decision, and that for some time allowed us to offset this malice. But we've now at minus 10% happiness, which is bringing down the average happiness of our pops, which in turn is then reducing the overall stability of this colony. So we now either need to produce something like a holotheatre, which will give us plus 20 amenities to balance this issue, or produce, say, a gene clinic. That is going to give us plus 10 amenities. Or if we were spiritualist, we could also build a temple. And by building a temple, we'd also be getting access to these amenities. Now, let's say we were to build a holotheatre. And now we've done that, we've built a holotheatre. 2 of our technicians upgraded themselves to the specialist stratum to be entertainers. They are now producing 10 amenities and 2 unity at an upkeep of food, and then 1 consumer good per job. If we just break this down a little further, 1 consumer good from the entertainer job, as well as from the living standards on the planet. Now, that has given us an overall output. As we can see here, we're producing between 21 and 24 science, 69 energy, and 12 unity, 7 alloys, with some deficits here. Minus 12 minerals, minus 26 food, minus 20 consumer goods. We've got an excess of amenities providing us extra stability. We're now at 64% stability. But this could be done differently. We could build a gene clinic. What would that look like? So here we built a gene clinic instead of the holotheatre. Now, that's given us an extra 10 amenities, which has pushed us over. We haven't quite got the same level of stability as we got before. We were on 64% before, now we're only on 59%, so that is a 5% reduction. But stability, what does that give us? Well, for every point of stability, we get plus 0.6 additional resources from jobs. So that loss of stability means that we are losing 3% resources from jobs modifier. However, by having an extra 5 habitability, we are gaining 2.5% resources from jobs, as well as reducing our pop upkeep by 5%. And additionally, there's also the growth speed reduction has gone down from 10% to 7.5%. Now, that means that whilst we are 5% lower on stability, we aren't 3% lower in terms of our resources from job output. We are only 0.5% lower, which is a very small difference here. We are only producing 7 unity and 6 alloys. That 6 alloys, as opposed to where it said 7 before, it wasn't 7, it was rounded to 7, and that was showing due to the extra plus 0.5% resource output from jobs. Now, what are we getting for this trade-off? Well, we're losing 5 unity, and for that loss, we're gaining 10% pop growth from jobs and an additional 2.5% due to the increased habitability. That is actually worth it in my opinion. So rather than building a gene clinic straight away, what we could do, and what we could do that would be quite useful to our overall population, because pop growth is very important, but we don't want to be losing jobs that we would otherwise have. So instead of having entertainers, we instead go for medical workers to balance our amenities and utilize this extra pop growth. But we aren't really losing anything in terms of our resources from our jobs. That is fine. Yes, if you are running a trade focused build, you will be losing 3% trade value, and maybe it would be worth it to have that extra 3% trade value. But if you are at maximum logistic growth, so if you're at 4.5 growth base per pop growth, that would be an additional 0.56 pop growth per month, meaning that within 195 months you would have an additional population that you otherwise would not have had. That is 16 years. So you are trading off 5 unity per month for an additional pop in 16 years time. That is 975 unity. Now, unity and traditions, whilst valuable, I would say that a lot of the time, for instance, within the tradition tree, there is the expansion traditions. One of those good traditions is plus 10% pop growth. 975 unity in the early stages of the game, yes, that's going to grant you a tradition like that, but later on, as unity becomes less valuable per point, getting these additional pop growth bonuses is probably a better way to go. Now, of course, this is something I haven't done until the last possible moment. I'm at 22 pops, which is a place you are not going to be until quite a bit later in the game with your colonies. I would not recommend building a gene clinic probably on your homeworld, because you won't be getting any extra habitability bonuses. But here on your colonies, around the 20 to 22 pop mark, building a gene clinic is probably a very useful and strategic thing to do in order to boost that pop growth and be getting more pops across your entire empire. Of course, what if we had something like we were spiritualists and we had something like a temple? Well, looking here at the temple, the difference is actually it's a little striking. So you're going to be getting with spiritualists, with a temple, an extra 3 or 4 society research, as well as 2 or 3 extra unity, in addition to the unity you would be getting if you had the holotheatre. But of course, we've gone with the temple, which is slightly better at producing unity, but getting fewer amenities. Now, you are producing less resources overall here, and that is due to the habitability bonus that I am missing out. Possibly a temple may be slightly better than going for something like a gene clinic, though again here, I think that 10% bonus to pop growth, it's 12.5% overall for just those 2 jobs, is useful. It's going to be something that we can actually use. Now, this isn't to say that gene clinics are in any way broken or massively overpowered. No, they're not. But they are actually viable if you build them in the right way for the right purpose. That old adage that we would have to take 50 years plus to get the pops back from the pops we invested in the medical worker jobs falls down under this scenario, because we would have to invest those pops in amenity producing jobs anyway. Why not have extra pop growth instead of a few extra amenities?